Richard Mourdock is a guy running for Senate in Indiana. He's a radical right-winger. He beat a very conservative Richard Lugar in the primaries on the Republican side in Indiana for the Senate seat. Now, Richard Lugar used to be a moderate, but he's not anymore. He has agreed with almost all of the radical right-wing positions that the Republican Party currently has, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. They had to take him down. So now he's debating a Democrat and a Libertarian, actually, and Mourdock wound up saying what has now become an infamous comment, this.
I believe that life begins at conception. The only exception I have for to have an abortion is in that case of the life of the mother. I struggled with it myself for a long time, but I came to realize life is that gift from God, and I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that it is something that God intended to happen.
God intended it to happen. Okay, so seems like a pretty bad God, right? I mean, intended for you to get raped so you can get pregnant so you could have that kid. And by the way, shouldn't it be my choice as to what I think God might or might not have intended with my rape? No. Richard Mourdock's got to figure it out because he talks to God all the time. So he knows, yeah, you know what? I know what God intended for you. Now, this seems pretty heinous, right? So, of course, the Romney campaign has decided they're going to backpedal a little bit, but only a little bit. They did an ad endorsing this guy. In fact, this is the only Senate candidate that Mitt Romney has endorsed in this cycle. Isn't that amazing? And they said, well, it would look like too much of a flip-flop. So they put out this statement first. Governor Romney disagrees with Richard Mourdock's comments, and they do not reflect his views. Will you keep running that ad endorsing him? Yep. How about Paul Ryan? Now, this was earlier, on September 17th. He said at a fundraiser, quote, please send us Richard Mourdock. We need this man in the United States Senate. Yeah, so they seem pretty clear on it. Now, John Cornyn is running the Senate campaigns for the Republicans overall. He's in charge of the whole thing to get more senators elected for the Republicans. So is he going to distance the party from Mourdock and these outrageous comments? Of course not. He says, Richard and I, along with millions of Americans, including even Joe Donnelly, who is his Democratic opponent, believe that life is a gift from God. Oh, really? Wow, how controversial. He says, but to try and construe his words as anything other than a restatement of that belief is irresponsible and ridiculous. Except we didn't say it, he said it. He said it was a gift from God. Okay, and he didn't say the life, he said God intended it to happen. The rape and everything else. Now, of course, he's in a lot of trouble. Here comes the tearful backpedals.
So many people mistook, twisted, came to misunderstand the points that I was trying to make.
Oh.
And if, because of the lack of clarity in my words, that they came away with an impression other than those that I stated a moment ago, that life is precious and that I abhor violence and I'm confident God abhors violence and rape. If they came away with any impression other than that, I truly regret it. I apologize that they came away, and I have certainly been humbled by the fact that so many people think that that somehow was an interpretation. For those who want to kind of twist the comments and to use them for partisan political gain, you know, I think that's what's wrong with Washington these days.
No, you're what's wrong with Washington. So the problem wasn't that you said something you didn't mean. The problem is that you said something that you meant. The same thing with Todd Akin. He didn't all of a sudden come up with a theory. You don't slip up and say a whole theory. Remember with Todd Akin with, well, if you get legitimate rape, then a body has a way of shutting that thing down so you don't get pregnant. That's not a slip of the tongue. That's a whole giant theory you have on pregnancy and rape and abortion, right? And this guy, why does he say the comments that he does about abortion? And rape? Because he's going to make you have the child even if you get raped. He does not believe in an exception for rape. So what's he going to do? He has to justify it. He has to justify it by saying, well, you know, God intended it anyway. So it's okay. It's okay. God intended it. Now, when he gets busted and realizes, oh my God, it turns out my position is a maniacal position that a great majority of Americans do not agree with. Oops, I didn't know that. That's why I said it. Okay, now that I found out, my handlers told me about it. Well, let me assure you that I generally do not like rape. Oh, thanks God. And in fact, he says, God also abhors violence and rape. Well, that's reassuring. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for clarifying that for us. We really appreciate it. And now more of this.
I believe that life itself is the greatest gift that God can give us. And I know, because polling shows it, at least 80% of all Americans, and I'm sure at least that many Hoosiers, think that God is the author of all life. And I stand firmly on that belief.
Oh, we're polling now. Well, you know, I wasn't sure about God, but then the polls came in. You know how they always say, I don't legislate by the polls. He's like, but no, it's okay though. I checked the polls on this one. Turns out most of the people have my back. Turns out they believe in God. First of all, that isn't the issue, right? The issue is your twisted interpretation of what God intends. So just because 80% of Americans believe in God, first of all, doesn't mean as a politician that, well, okay, if they say so, then they're on my side, I guess, or I'm on their side, right? Second of all, it doesn't mean that 80% of Americans believe that women who got raped because God intended it so they can get pregnant so they could have that kid. I mean, what a gross misinterpretation. He continues.
I absolutely abhor violence.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I abhor any kind of sexual violence.
Oh.
I abhor rape.
Oh, okay.
And I am absolutely confident as I stand here that the God that I worship abhors violence, abhors sexual violence, and abhors rape. The God that I worship would never, ever want to see evil done. That is an element of my faith. God doesn't want evil, but occasionally it happens.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is a really serious story, but it just slipped into hilarious. Like, okay, so let's go over all the kinds of violence I'm against. I'm against it when a guy takes a bat to your knee because you didn't pay up. I abhor that kind of violence. Oh, and if sexual violence, if somebody grabs your, body parts, I'm against that. If they do more, I'm definitely against that too. But you know what? I got news for you. The God that I and other Hoosiers believe in, how funny does that sound? Okay. I checked with him earlier today before I did the press conference. Turns out he doesn't like violence or rape either. Okay, so don't sweat it, guys. I talked to God. He's on my side. He's on the side of the Hoosiers. Totally anti-rape. Our question wasn't about God. It was about you. And second of all, if you are going to go to that question, you might want to read the Bible again. There's a lot of violence and a significant amount of rape. I mean, you know the story a lot? I mean, the angels come to visit him, and the town wants to rape them. So he says, no, don't rape the angels. Let me give you my daughters instead. Look it up in the Bible, man. But apparently that God abhors violence and rape. Mourdock's not done yet. He's got a little bit more interpretation of God. Can't wait.
If God intends for the life that results from a rape, can you say that God didn't intend for the rape?
That I will say unequivocally, Jim. I don't think God wants rape. I don't think he wants that at all, because
ridiculous.
Rape is evil. I abhor evil. I want to assure every woman I want to assure every woman who hears this, who reads the stories of this, that I abhor it, and I'm confident God abhors it. But to twist and suggest that somehow I was saying that God approves of rape is the wrong thing, because that's not what I was saying. It's certainly not what I intended. And again, if anyone came away with that, then I apologize that they were able to make that interpretation from my less than fully articulate use of words.
Man, I'm not beginning to love this. This is one of the most comical press conferences I have ever seen. So, because your campaign is in a little bit of trouble when you have to do a press conference explaining how much you do not like rape. When you got to do a press conference, hey, press, gather around. Let me tell you guys something. I abhor violence, totally anti-rape. How am I doing? And my guess is you're about to lose. Okay, number two, this guy is doing a whole press conference on what God thinks. When did you become our ambassador to God? But that's exactly the problem, though. So that's why I point this out. Because these guys think that they are, they put on their tinfoil hats and they're like, oh, Lord in heaven, what do you think? Oh, you intended the pregnancies and they should not abort. I will make that law. And then when they get caught with their tinfoil hat on, they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? No, I'm not pro-rape. Neither is God. What are you talking about? Nah, this is crazy, man. These guys are going to legislate? They're going to pass our laws? 75% of this country thinks that abortion should be legal. These guys aren't playing around. They don't think it should be legal. And Romney says, no, it's okay. Don't blame me because I want to have an exception for rape and incest. But that's not what Romney gets to decide. Romney, there's not a law on it. What Romney will do is nominate a Supreme Court justice. And the Supreme Court, if they get one more vote, will overturn Roe versus Wade, in which case, what happens? You could make abortion completely and utterly illegal so that if you do get raped or you suffer incest, you cannot get an abortion. Romney can't stop that. All he does is nominate a Supreme Court justice. And when he does that, well, that train leaves that station. And by the way, if you do get an abortion so that you don't have your rapist child, if it's illegal, they could put you in jail. Can you imagine you get raped and because you don't want to have the rapist kid, they put you in jail? These people are grotesque, man. That's the real problem. The real problem is we found out what they're all about.